The Screwtape letters begins with a preface, an introduction to help us understand what the letters are going to be about and sort of orient us within the book. One of the things that's important to recognize is that Lewis is writing at a time that is characterized, according to his description, as accepting a belief that he calls Christianity in water. That is, a kind of watered-down Christianity, a desire to keep benevolent parts of Christianity, kindness, forgiveness, compassion, but to let go of things like sin or hell or a devil. In Mere Christianity, which he wrote shortly after the Screwtape letters, he talks about how it is that when he first read the Bible seriously, it surprised him how much attention was devoted to a dark power, a mighty evil spirit, not equal to God, but a rebel from God who had turned the world into enemy-occupied territory. That was something that was essential to the Gospels. That was something that was irremovable from the mission of Christ and how he carried out his work on earth. Now, Lewis wants to protect us from what he describes as two extremes. The first extreme would be what he calls the Materialist Outlook. That is, people who don't believe in spirits or souls or God or any of those sort of things. So they're totally closed to their being a devil. They have if you like, an excessively scientific or experimental sort of outlook that if they can't take something into a lab and experiment on it, it isn't real. On the other hand, you have people who have an unhealthy interest in the occult. This is what Lewis describes as the magician. Now, don't think of somebody pulling rabbits out of a hat. This is more like the legendary character of Faust, somebody who makes a deal with the devil in order to receive power from him. Or like the witches in Macbeth that traffic in evil spirits. So now they're able to know things that other people don't know. Lewis is trying to negotiate a path between these two extremes. On the one hand, somebody who's so scientific in their outlook that they don't believe in spirits at all, versus somebody, on the other hand, who has an unhealthy interest in them. There are certain things that we need to know about the devil, that much and no more. And Lewis is not going to give us an excessive amount, but a useful amount. That's going to be useful for our moral and spiritual life. When you look at the Bible itself, it gives us very limited but essential information about angels and devils. First, they are pure spirits. They don't have bodies or bodily limitations. As wonderful as Grandma is, when Grandma dies, she doesn't become an angel. Angels and human beings are two totally different beings. Angels and devils both are spirits. They were created as spirits, and so hence they are immortal. Devils are not created as devils. Devils have made themselves devils through their choice, through freedom of the will. They have chosen to rebel from God and to set themselves apart from Him. They have chosen, they have made themselves devils. Because devils and angels do not have body and bodily limitations, they do not need food. They do not grow old. They don't get strep throat. They don't get tummy aches. There's all sorts of things that if you don't have a body, you're simply not going to suffer with. At the same time, angels and devils are not God. They can't know everything. They can't read people's minds. They can make certain guesses about what they're thinking, but only the Creator who made you can know you for your mind from the inside. Likewise, they can't know the future. They can make guesses about the future. They could make a killing on the stock market, but they can't know the future. Only the Creator who's made the world and knows the order in it is going to be able to know exactly what happens. Only the author of the book is really going to know how the story ends. Lewis combines the traditional theology about angels and devils along with some poetic license. Screwtape will be referred to as an uncle, and Wormwood is his nephew. Literally, devils don't have uncles and nephews, but Lewis humanizes them and personalizes them to make it more readable and to make it more entertaining. There will be a number of things, and we'll comment them as we go along, where Lewis will stretch theology in a creative direction to make it more engaging and more imaginative. One word of warning that Lewis says about his own book by way of criticism. Lewis was dissatisfied with what he described as the one-sided approach in Screwtape, that you have these letters between two devils, and shouldn't that be balanced by letters from a guardian angel to a head archangel? Aren't you just getting the infernal side and you're not getting the celestial side? And yet he said, that is a work that I'm not able to do. Every sentence would have to savor of heaven. Every sentence would have to savor of the divine in these communications between a guardian angel and an archangel. And that's something that's beyond my powers. A better man than me would have to write that. At the same time, we will see as we move forward in the Screwtape letters that there are a number of things about God, who's referred to as the enemy, and the angels, who are sometimes just referred to as them, that we see how it is that God works, and we see how the angel works. So there are ways in which the other side, the side that's helping us, that we see how it is that divine assistance and divine grace works in the Christian life. A final note. You will see at the very beginning of the Screwtape letters quotes from Thomas More and Martin Luther, that the devil cannot stand to be mocked. Both of these thinkers, one Catholic, the other Lutheran, concur on this point. He is a proud spirit and cannot abide to be mocked. One of the things that Lewis is letting us know is that this is a humorous work. We have to be aware that Screwtape Letters is satire. It is a comic work. It certainly has a serious side to it and a serious message about our self-knowledge, our own self-awareness, the weaknesses of our human nature, and the threat of our own personal faults and our own personal failings. Yet at the same time, this is a work that allows us to laugh, not only at the way that the devil works, but sometimes at ourselves. In the next talk, what we'll do is we'll look at the first chapter, we'll look at the opening, and how it is that Screwtape starts to recommend strategies to wormwood.